All right, well, Lisa and I are here together because we're kind of tag teaming on this because we have indoor going on and now sand has started, and so with both things going, we're going to be at different events at different times, and it's a little bit crazy for us. Right now I'm in the sand Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I think Lisa's out here Tuesday and Thursday to get the kids going. We had our first practice yesterday. It was fun. We've also got a new volunteer assistant, Daniel Fu, who's with us and doing a great job, and he kind of got things started yesterday with some great conditioning out here in the sand, and but it's a lot of fun. We've built a really tough schedule for the first year, especially since this first year we're really operating on kind of a minimum budget getting going, but we've put together a great schedule with great teams. 12 of the 14 matches are top 20 or honorable mention teams this year in sand, but that was one of our goals because we need to see what's out there. We've talked about it. It's all new. We don't know a lot. You know, like the opportunity to play USC. USC's on our schedule. They were one of the original sand teams, and I think we can gauge a lot. Are we at the bottom? Are we in the middle? Where do we need to go? Lisa really does a lot of our recruiting. What do we need to identify to get going? And we're getting more and more videos all the time from people and stuff, and I think Lisa can talk a little bit more about that, but it's we just need to find out what's happening and really get our hands and feet dirty this first season and see where we're at so we can build a really quality, solid program for the university here.
Coach, do you look at this as a kind of a separate entity? Is it a way to bring kind of better volleyball recruits in general here? Is it what?
Well, I'm going to let Lisa answer most of this, but one of the reasons we originally took the proposal to Paul was we felt like we were losing a pool of recruits, and I'll let Lisa talk about that.
Well, recruiting for sand, it translates very directly to indoor. A lot of the players that are really well-rounded athletes and volleyball players and getting trained, you know, in all aspects of the game are also becoming really great sand players. And so it's a way for us to get an edge on some of the teams that, you know, that are very good programs, but we're recruiting the same kids, but we have sand and maybe they don't. And, you know, it's a way for them to get more training and more well-rounded training. And so it's definitely, you know, and it's you know, really complements our weather here and brings some interest from, you know, the northern states and the east, where maybe they don't have that opportunity. So we're creating an extra opportunity for recruits, and it's really an exciting thing for us.
I think the other thing I would add to that is Lisa spends a lot of time in Arizona recruiting. And sand volleyball has become huge in Arizona. They have it at the high schools, all the clubs have it. And so we were finding that we were losing kids. They were saying, well, if you don't have sand, we're not interested. So, you know, it really became something that for us, we felt like we needed to go this direction.
Lisa, how do you see the game as being different as opposed to the obvious numbers? There's only 2 on each side.
Right.
But I mean, is it a different kind of style? Do a lot of these girls take to it automatically? How are the differences?
There's a lot of differences between sand and indoor. The most obvious is, you know, having 2 players, and which creates a lot more responsibility for each player, and they have to do a lot more. They aren't you know, specialized like they are in indoor. In indoor, for example, in the middle blocker position, they're specialized in blocking and hitting. But in outdoor, you know, in sand, they have to be able to do it all. They have to be able to pass and serve and set, which is a very difficult skill, and hit different shots. So the strategy is completely different. You know, there's a lot more communication with their partner in the sand, whereas in indoor you can rely a lot on you know, 5 other players on the court. So it's just a completely different strategy. But the great thing is, you know, for our players, they're getting so much more experience, you know, having that responsibility of passing and helping their teammate, taking on more of a role overall as a volleyball player.
How many of these girls are, on the actual volleyball team indoor, and how many are strictly playing? And how do you guys manage that? And is there any concern over, injuries and all of that stuff?
You want me to go?
Yeah, you can go.
I think with, first speaking to the injuries, I think the sand game is actually more forgiving. So I think from that standpoint, you're not diving on a hard surface, all that. I think physically it's probably more difficult, but it's also more forgiving. I think we have 7 players right now that are sand only for the spring, and 7 more that are crossovers. And what a crossover is they're playing their indoor season, then they're playing their outdoor season, and it's a little bit complicated with counting dates and everything with the NCAA, but we're about half and half right now, and I that's where I'd like to be. I think it's a good place for us to be. About half our kids train all year outside, and about half will go back and forth.
Yeah, can you just talk about how competitive the sand volleyball, is, around the country, and what you guys are getting into?
Go ahead.
Well, at this point, it's difficult for us to answer that kind of question in terms of how competitive we're going to be, because the majority of the players that we're training in the sand have not had previous experience in the sand, besides playing in tournaments outside of our regular season and outside of our competitive season. So it's I think our first tournament is really going to be a test for us to see where we're at, where we stand, and what improvements we need to make. But every year this sport is adding more colleges, and so now there's finally going to be a championship segment, whereas before there wasn't, so because there wasn't enough teams for the NCAA to sponsor it. So I think that we have a really good chance of doing very well, because our players that we have playing just are very well-rounded players. So
you touched on difficulties and the challenges, but what about your players that you've seen that are doing crossover? What do you think they've what you've seen are having most trouble with?
Well, let me first go back to your last question. Like Lisa said, this year there are 51 programs with sand volleyball. The anticipation is there'll be 90 next year for 16. It's growing that fast. And so the NCAA just a few weeks ago there was a championship being held that was an invitational, and they've now voted to make it an actual championship. They're putting together an NCAA volleyball committee now. It's being taken off the emerging sport list onto the regular sport list. So there's a lot of things happening that are really going to help the sport. Your second question, I first want to say, Albuquerque has a great volleyball community, and it has a great sand volleyball community. We're training here at Stoneface. It's a great, as you can see, great facility for us to train and play our matches this year. We're grateful for that. But the leagues in the different places and stuff are really full. There's a lot going on, and so we feel like there's a lot of interest. And in our local community, we feel like that really helps raise the interest even of our players. In the summer, there's opportunities to play almost every weekend.
I think for all of us, it's only improving our skills for the indoor. It's 2 people covering a large amount of the court, and you really have to work on communication and all the little things that we don't really spend a whole lot of time when we're working with indoor. So I think for us, especially going indoor and outdoor, it's only going to benefit us in the indoor. So I think it's a great addition to UNM.
Find the right partner?
Right now we're kind of just doing a lot of skill work, working on a lot of shots, and they're seeing our strengths and weaknesses out on the sand, because we're all different. We all play different positions on the indoor, so it's different on the sand. But I mean, they're gonna partner us up, and then from then on out we'll work with that partner. So as of right now, we're not really sure.
I know it's not really a break, but is it nice just coming out here and playing on a different surface, like pretty much different game almost?
It's definitely refreshing. I know we work long hours in indoor, and now we're in the sun, in the sand. We get to be in the sun, so it's a really nice change of pace, and I think we're all really going to benefit from it and be really refreshed for when indoor season comes.
on the fence?
Oh, definitely. I'm all the big programs in Division I volleyball right now have sand and volleyball or indoor volleyball. So I think this is definitely going to put us out there with a different demographic with recruiting. And you know, a lot of girls will only talk to schools if they have both programs. So I think it's only going to benefit recruiting, and it's going to really up the hype for volleyball at UNM. So I think it's a great addition.
Sand volleyball different than, you know, the indoor game, besides the obvious numbers of there's only 2 of you there, but from a playing aspect, how's it different?
Just the sand in general and how tough it is to move and how much quicker you can move indoor than you can move outdoor. And in sand you can't just swing for every ball, you have to be smart in it. I think we've been talking a lot about volleyball IQ, and I think sand has a really high volleyball IQ, and that's what we need to work on. So
has the popularity of sand volleyball in the Olympics and worldwide popularity kind of helped in creating more excitement and energy around you starting a program like this?
I think so. I feel like it's something that people can look up to, and we can aspire to hopefully go farther than just playing in college. And I know I get excited. I get on YouTube and watch videos, and I'm like, oh, I want to be like that. But it's something to aspire to be.
Kind of a question for both of you, but Devin, I'll start with you. Just what does it mean to be a part of history at UNM and to be a part of the first ever squad put together on the sand?
It's pretty amazing. I can't really explain it. It hasn't really sunk in yet that it's actually happening, but I'm really happy to be a part of something this big.
I think it's so great to get sand volleyball out there and to get recruits and just start a new culture of volleyball here in New Mexico that hasn't been here. And I think for all of us, it's an amazing feeling because we have goals and we want to get UNM's name out there, and I think sand volleyball is only going to up that. So it's amazing, and we're excited to get started.
I'm super excited about it, and I feel extremely lucky. It's weird to come back after a year or maybe 2 years off. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm so excited to be back. I missed it, and so this is a perfect way to come back.
After a knee injury, I mean, are you concerned at all? Is it easier on the sand, or are you still pushing it?
I guess I'm still worried about my knee because I'm scared of hurting it again, but this feels good on it, I guess. I feel fine. And Kate's been taking really good care of me, so I feel pretty good.
How is sand volleyball different from indoor?
I think just in general, it's harder to run in the sand, and it's just you have to work with all the elements of being outside too, and you only have one other teammate with you. So, but I think both have their differences or challenges, and I think just being in the sand is the main challenge for beach volleyball.
What kind of chemistry do you have to have since there's only 2 of you on? I mean, you've got to have a communication element and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think you just have to have good communication and chemistry with your partner and just trust each other because it's just you two out there, and you have to know that another person's going to get and do their job and while you do yours. No. Yeah.
What is the hardest thing you've translating over, coming to sand? What's been the hardest thing to?
From indoor?
Yeah, from indoor.
I think just getting my sand legs back, because even though we're in shape indoor, it's different than being on the beach, and so they'll definitely get us in shape by our first tournament.
And Ashley, I mean, being from New Mexico, the spring, it could be 25 degrees out here, it could be 70 degrees out here.
Yep.
I mean, is that going to make it difficult during the season, a couple matches you have that, I mean, there's definitely an element factor that you got to...
Definitely. It's, every single day is different. Like you were talking about, some days it might snow, and the next day it's 100 degrees. But really it's wind that makes a huge difference. When it's windy, it makes it really hard to play. So like she was talking about, you just have to know how to work with your partner, work through the difficult times, and work with the elements. So.
Have you guys played competitively before out here, or just in sand volleyball in general?
I have back at home in Washington. I played tournaments. I played when I was younger as a junior, and then I started playing with some women as I grew up. But I haven't played, well, I've played a couple tournaments here at Stoneface just with some of my teammates from UNM, but that's about it.
How beneficial is it to have some type of experience where a lot lot of these girls are going in like have no idea what to expect?
I think it's really beneficial, but I think with the girls who haven't played before, just the great coaching that we'll have, they'll get them up to speed and they'll be able to do really well this season.
Ashley, how do you think UNM will be this year in the program?
I wish I could say. I don't have a clue like what the competition's like. I haven't played in any competitive sand volleyball tournaments or anything like she has. So I really don't know what competition's like. I know we're working really hard. I know the coaches are pushing us, so hopefully that will pay off, and we're working really hard. So.
Anything else for these two? Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.